thanks from the Indian president. The Gulf Cooperation Council countries' health ministers review the latest developments of COVID-19 pandemic. And Sultan Qaboos University Hospital signs a financing agreement with Petroleum Development Oman for the supply of essential equipment to support children's intensive care unit. Those were the headlines. Now for the news in detail. His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq sent a cable of greetings to His Excellency President Xi Jinping of China on the occasion of the Chinese Lunar New Year. His Majesty the Sultan received a cable of thanks from His Excellency President Ramnath Kovind of India in reply to His Majesty's cable of greetings on the occasion of the Republic Day. Their Excellencies, the Gulf Cooperation Council countries' health ministers discussed the latest developments in COVID-19 pandemic and its new strains through video conferencing. The Sultanate called taking extreme precautions against the new strain of COVID-19, as well as the necessity to find a joint mechanism among GCC countries to facilitate the procedures related to vaccination certificates. The meeting also focused on the serological index in GCC countries, in addition to the main protocols and precautionary measures to deal with COVID-19. It further discussed the health standards required by the citizens of the GCC countries to enter member countries. The Ministry of Health announced that the total number of COVID-19 cases registered in the Sultanate reached 136,622, while the total number of deaths reached 1,539. The total recovered cases reached 128,461. The ministry indicated that the total number of inpatients reached 149, out of which 45 are in intensive care units. In line with the country's effort in combating the pandemic, the Governorate of Buraymi launched a national vaccination program against COVID-19. The campaign continues despite the noticeable rise in the infection rate in the country, a matter that requires observing preventive and precautionary measures from the public. The national campaign targets citizens and residents whose age is 65 years and older, whether they are healthy or have medical conditions. The vaccine is offered at Buraymi Polyclinic from 7:30 a.m. until 8 p.m., while Metha Health Center offers the vaccine from 7:30 a.m. until 1:30 p.m. It's worth mentioning that individuals who received the first Pfizer dosage will receive the same vaccine when the vaccine is made ready and will not receive the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine. Sultan Qaboos University Hospital signed a financing agreement with Petroleum Development Oman for the supply of essential equipment to support children's intensive care unit. As per the agreement, PDO will finance the procurement of ventilators compatible with MRI EEG machines in addition to an incubation machine. The agreement was signed by His Highness Sayyid Dr. Fahd bin al-Julanda Al Saeed, Vice Chancellor of Sultan Qaboos University. Within the framework of supporting the Sultanate's position as a pioneer regional hub in industrial innovation and entrepreneurship fields and attracting industrial investments to create added value, the Public Establishment for Industrial Estates Mada'in signed an agreement with the National University of Science and Technology. More details in the following report.
To enhance partnership between the industrial and higher education sectors,
the Public Establishment for Industrial Estates, Madain, signed an agreement with the National University of Science and Technology.
The application of knowledge is very important, and it should be useful to the industry where they are going to be absorbed. Every student we prepare is for getting their, of course, use their knowledge and skill in an industry where there is a productive industry. So what we would like to know, understand from this meeting is that where the university can direct our courses, our programs, and also how can we prepare the students so that they can be acceptable and they can be directly deployable in the industry.
Under this agreement, the two sides will encourage startups, incubate student projects, and provide them with relevant training programs.
We encourage strongly the student to write their projects, final year project, or their research that's related to the specialization available in the industrial cities which are located in all over Oman. The worth mentioning here also that Madain will undoubtedly benefit from this through having a direct cooperation, a direct relationship between the Madain and higher education institutions, which will reflect for sure that the curriculum that can play a role towards understanding what are the availability of the skills required by the investors so it can be adapted in the university.
Madain will also seek to facilitate training opportunities for undergraduate students based on the specializations that meet the employment requirements of the companies and factories investing in the industrial cities. The endeavor of this collaboration is to accomplish sustainability based on knowledge, innovation, training, entrepreneurship, and research towards achieving Oman Vision 2040. صالح بخلفان الرحبي, Sultanate of Oman Television, Muscat.
Makers Oman Center at Innovation Park, Muscat, is considered as the gate for all segments of the society who want to transfer their ideas into innovative models and different tangible industries that contribute in opening small and medium ventures. The center contains modern equipment and technological apparatus for the fourth industrial revolution. It aims to empower youth to invest on their capabilities. The Innovation Park Muscat is an encouraging and supportive environment for Omani innovators for creativity and innovation. As part of efforts being exerted by the Far University in sustaining its plan to upgrade the quality of education, the university achieved a 5-star ranking by Corrales-Simmons World Establishment. This was achieved through a tireless endeavor in raising the quality of its academic programs in terms of research and innovation. The ranking of international establishments is based on 13 criteria, top of which is the quality of teaching, scientific research, academic development, and social responsibility. The African Centers for Disease Control and Prevention Director said African countries that have not found cases of the coronavirus variant dominant in South Africa should go ahead and use the AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine. John Nikenja Song spoke to reporters a day after South Africa announced that it would not use the AstraZeneca vaccine, citing a small study that suggested it was poor at preventing mild to moderate disease caused by the variant. He said just 7 countries on the 54-nation African continent have reported the variant, and none besides South Africa is being overwhelmed by the variant. John also said doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine are expected to start arriving in other parts of the African continent in the next 2 weeks. Africa has had more than 96,000 confirmed deaths. Despite deep uncertainty over a surge in coronavirus cases and the impact of the new variants of the disease, senior European Commission officials today expressed cautious optimism that European economies will rebound solidly later this year and in 2022. In its winter interim economic forecast, the European Union's executive body predicts that the growth in the 19 nations using the single currency will reach 3.8% this year, and next year growth in the full 27-nation EU is predicted to hit 3.7% in 2021 and 3.9% next year. The forecast hinges on the assumption that coronavirus restrictions will remain tight for most of the first half of this year, but ease in late spring when most vulnerable people around Europe, like the elderly and those with other illnesses, are expected to have been vaccinated. The Netherlands is caught in the biggest freeze in a decade, amid a European cold snap that has brought harsh weather to parts of the continent. The edges of Lake Islemere, an inland bay north of Amsterdam, have frozen in the area close to a major and iconic 32-kilometer dam. Cold nights loom in Netherlands, and the temperature is expected to drop to as low as -20 Celsius on Saturday night. Warmer air is set to move in from the southeast on Sunday and end the big freeze. Parts of Central and North Europe, as well as Britain, have been gripped by the cold weather front since the weekend. Violinist Tatsuki Narita was traveling with his wife, pianist Mami Hajiwara, on a bullet train from Tokyo to Sendai last Saturday for the recital on the following day. When they got on the train, they realized that they were the only passengers on their car. Narita decided to do what he does the best: play the violin to fill the void. The Japanese government recently suspended the Go To Travel campaign, a nationwide subsidy program encouraging domestic travel due to the rising number of COVID-19 infections in the country. They also declared a state of emergency in 10 prefectures in January, which has been extended to at least March the 7th, affecting ridership on the high-speed trains. The video of Narita's performance has gained over 100,000 views in a few days on Twitter, reflecting people's longing for travel and concert performances. This is the Sultanate of Oman television. Before we end tonight's news bulletin, here are the main points once again. His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq greets the President of China on the Chinese Lunar New Year and receives a cable of thanks from the Indian President. The Gulf Cooperation Council countries' health ministers review the latest developments of COVID-19 pandemic. And Sultan Qaboos University Hospital signs a financing agreement with Petroleum Development Oman for the supply of essential equipment to support children's intensive care unit. With that, we come to the end of tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here at the newsroom and the studios, have a good night.